Hi, I'm Max Clark. Conversation that I get to have a lot is related to buy versus build. If you ask an engineer, should we buy this platform or should we build this platform? Or if they have the option of thinking about it in the context of like buy versus build, almost exclusively that engineer is going to tell you we should build it. Why? Because we're going to build it just to our specs. We're going to be able to build it at our timeline. We're not going to spend monthly to do it. Like, we're going to control it. We're going to be able to maintain it. You know, engineers love to build. Just out of the get-go, engineers love to build. I'm an engineer. I love to build. That's what we do. It's what you want to do, right? But should you build? You know, a tangent to this buy versus build you hear, discuss a lot is tech debt. And the common example of tech debt really is like, oh, we've got all this old code that we have to go through and we have to refactor or we have to change. And so therefore we have all this tech debt in our code base. That's a perfectly fine way of thinking about tech debt. But instead, I want you to think about tech debt in terms of like a depreciating asset the same way you would think about like a structure, a building. If you have a house, that house has a roof. That roof is going to last you 30 years. Now, something could happen and that roof could only last you 5 years and you have to replace it. But on average, that roof is going to have to be replaced in 30 years. The structure, the house has to be painted. It has to be repaired. You need to have caulking done. You're going to have this, right? You have a certain amount of maintenance that needs to take place in that house. Now, I say all this because what tech debt really is it's the decision about whose balance sheet do you want to have that depreciation on? Do you want that depreciation on your balance sheet or do you want it on somebody else's balance sheet? Do you want to be fixing it? Do you want somebody else to be fixing it? Do you want to be improving it? Do you want somebody else to be improving it? Do you want to be investing resources to deal with it? Or do you want somebody else to be doing it, right? So David Perel reposted a photo recently. We're going to make sure it gets included here. And it's a great framework for thinking about this. I'm going to simplify my explanation for this into if it is something that is driving revenue for you, like directly your product or service, chances are you're going to want to build, right? Because this is your business. If it is something that you use to drive revenue, but not what actually is your revenue, you're probably going to want to buy, okay? Though there's a scale, right? Like these things, this is generic advice, right? There's scales of these things. Is it more efficient for you to use somebody else's ad platform versus building your own ad platform from scratch in order to manage your ad placement on, Meta and Google and yada, 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 right? Like, maybe you're at the scale where it does make sense because you're placing, $1 billion a year worth of ad buy. But chances are it doesn't, and you should just use somebody else's and pay for it. Maybe it's expensive and maybe it's not. The explanation that was posted here, I'm going to summarize. It's so good. It's everything your business is doing needs to be constantly improving, otherwise it's falling behind, okay? You're moving forward. There's no static. It's either moving forward or moving backwards, right? So your business needs to be moving forward, which means the tools and the components that are driving your business need to be moving forward. Who is going to move all of these things forward the fastest? Are you going to invest the resources to move your tooling and your infrastructure and your platforms forward? Or is a third party who is providing this service as their core revenue? See, here's the key. Like, it's not what you're doing to drive revenue. It's what they're doing to drive revenue. So as soon as that shift gets made, the investments that's being made by that third party is going to shove this thing forward faster. And this is, and by the way, now they have to maintain it. They have to improve it. They have to repair it. It's on their balance sheet. It's not on your balance sheet. You're not maintaining it. What happens to companies when they go through build cycles and when you have an engineer that decides to go through a build cycle is at some point you realize, like, I don't want to invest resources in this. I don't want to have 6 engineers maintaining this platform. They need to do other things that are important to us to generate revenue. So what do? You take them off the project. Then now you have 2 engineers working on this critical system. And then you have 1 engineer working on the critical system. And then you have half an engineer working on this critical system. And then you have no engineers working on this critical system. And then you have rot, right? And then you have stagnation, which is actually just decline, right? So the point with all this is the point around buy versus build is absolutely your great smart engineers can always go and build. They 100%, like they want to go build. That's fun. Let's build a billing platform. Let's build a CRM. Let's build a communications platform. Let's build a blah, 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 blah system. Like whatever it is, like absolutely. They're going to come back and they're going to say, let's build it. We can build it. Let's build it. Yay, we're going to build it. Do you want them building it? No, probably you don't. Probably you want your engineering resources, which are finite, they're limited resources, doing things for you that actually service your customer and generate revenue for you. If you can go out and buy it from somebody else who's in the business of building that tool to generate revenue, that's probably where you want to be and why you should be doing it. Now, yes, it depends. There's caveats. There always are. But as a generic advice, at a high level, without getting into details, if you have the option between buy and build, you're probably better off just going out and buying it. And the reminder I make all the time, because there's certain tools that we use in our stack for our business that I hate writing the check for or seeing on the credit card statement every month. And I know, like, oh, we could just go out and build this ourselves. But the point is, it's not worth it. Just go out and buy it and be happy. I'm Max Clark. I hope this helps you. I'd love to hear your comments below. Did you build it? And what happened? Did you build it? Is it working for you? Did you decide to replace it and outsource it later? Let me know. Comment below. Love to hear it.
Feeling.